Welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Finally back after what's been a pretty extensive little festive season break. I do apologize for that. Sincerely hope that you all had a lovely Christmas and New Year. It's always a question I've wondered. How long into the new year is it appropriate to say Happy New Year still? I think recording this one, 21st of January, that's probably a little past its expiration date, but nevertheless, hope you are all having a tremendous start to the new year. I myself did as well. Certainly haven't been doing nothing in this little hiatus. Completed my first marathon, which was something for me, a wonderful little bucket list goal that I was hoping to achieve for quite a while. Had never got around to doing it. So it was great to finally tick that one off the list. Even this morning, went for a little, was up at 4:30, went for a little 25K run. So that's been something that's really occupied a fair bit of my time lately. But nevertheless, getting into the flow of things now, hopefully back into normal routine over the course of the next week or two. But very, very excited to be back and recording once again. Now, as I say, week in and week out, there's certainly never a dull moment within the NBA. And that's not been any truer than over the course of the last couple of weeks. So I guess my kind of plan for today was just to do some of the quick takeaways over that period of time that have really stood out to me, for better or worse. So I've got, what have I got here? I think I've got 7 points. 7 points just to rip through just some of the key things that have stood out to me. As I said, we'll get back into the flow over the next week or two. But yeah, very excited to get into things. Guys, really appreciate you continuing to stick up to date with all of the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok for all your latest news from across both the NBA and the NBL. The support is very much appreciated, so be sure to keep it coming. Okay, let's not stand on ceremony any longer. Getting into the first point around the Raptors. Now, the Raptors are bringing in quite a fair bit of change over the course of the last couple of weeks. Couple of big deals going down. Firstly was the piece that sent them, which got parted with them, should I say. They parted with OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa, who went to the Knicks. With that, they essentially gained a couple of other smaller pieces, but it was essentially RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. Now, I don't know, maybe a little bit skeptical of this. Quite enjoyed this move initially. Quickly's already flourishing as their starting point guard, as opposed to having to play off the bench behind Jalen Brunson as to what he was doing there in New York. They followed this up the other day by offloading Pascal Siakam. Now, they got back in return Bruce Brown, Kira Lewis, Jordan Nora, 2024 first-round picks, a conditional 2026 first-round pick. With this iteration of the team, I think they're going to be fun to watch. I think defensively they'll struggle, losing Siakam and OG. OG in particular there. On the defensive side, I think they're going to be a step off the pace. I don't know if these moves bring them any closer to making them a playoff threat. At the moment, they're still currently languishing in that lower portion of the Eastern Conference. What are they at the moment? They currently sit 12th at 16 and 26, 2.5 games back there. The Hawks in 10th at the moment. But I don't know, just from an initial feel, don't know if it makes them that much better overall. That being said, I applaud them for shaking things up. They weren't really going anywhere at the moment, so it's good that they took those steps to try and facilitate change. Yeah, I don't know. I still think, and I've harped on this quite a bit. If you've been a regular listener of the show, I've harped on for probably the last 6 to 12 months, maybe even a little bit longer, about the Raptors' need to shake things up. I think, and OG and Siakam have been those two big names over that period of time that I think could have been offloaded. I think they've probably missed out on a bit of value. Their value was no higher than it was in that probably 6 to 12 month period ago. In that OG deal, getting back quickly, RJ Barrett, yeah, that's fine. On the Pascal Siakam front, the value, what he was going to gain 6 to 12 months ago was light years ahead, should I say, of what they got now. So, well done making the move. Did they get max value? Absolutely not. I don't think. Excited to watch. Excited to see Scotty Barnes flourish in that number one role now, as opposed to having to share it almost with Siakam there. But I think they'll be fun to watch. Will it improve them? Will it move the needle that much? I don't think so. But, as we say here at the Daily Dribble, we hate mediocrity. They've tried to do something to change that. So can't but applaud them for that. Let's move ahead to number 2. For me, the Atlanta Hawks, I'll start that again. The Atlanta Hawks feel like the Raptors of the last few years. Now, what I mean by that is they just feel like a very middling team. They're too good to bottom out, but they're not good enough to compete at the moment. I just don't know where they go. All reports are indicating that DeJounte Murray will be on the move. Interested to see how that plays out over the course of the next week or two, closer to the deadline. But at the moment, they currently sit 10th at 18 and 23. With the talent they've got at their disposal, they should be considerably better off. I think they could be set for a drastic change. Murray in particular. Capella's another name that could be moved. I think pretty much everything could be traded at this point. If they wanted to go that route, they could completely blow this up. They need to, I think, build a team that is completely focused on offense. I love teams that still play defense in this day and age in the NBA. It's becoming rarer and rarer. But if you've got Trae Young as your star guard, there's no way you can be a good defensive team. It's just not possible. So I think you've kind of almost got to double down on what you've got and just go pedal to the metal. Offense 100% of the way. At the moment, they're trying to play defense as best they can, and it's compromising what they're doing on the offensive end. So if I was the Atlanta Hawks, I would seriously look at making some big moves, which I think will play out over the next week or two. So as I said, they just feel like the Raptors of the last few years, and fair play to the Raptors. As I just mentioned a moment ago, they've tried to do something about it. So you certainly can't fault them for that. Okay, let's move ahead to number 3 as I try and quash a sneeze that's building. My apologies there. Number 3, the Grizzlies are undoubtedly finished this season. Now, after what was a horrific start, they actually started to string together a few wins, which coincided there with the return of Ja Morant, and there was a little bit of optimism there in Memphis. That has since been extinguished with the news that he'll be needing season-ending surgery on a torn labrum. Been nothing short of a disaster season for Ja there after missing the first 25 games. Finding a little bit of form, but to have this season-ending injury occur is less than ideal, to say the least. Now, certainly hope to see him back fit and healthy next season and back to his brilliant best. Know that he's one of the premier point guards within the league. It's just a shame we haven't got to see him as much as we would have liked to this year, because he's certainly one of the most must-watch players within the league. In many people's eyes, probably the most must-watch player. But alongside that news with Ja going out, Desmond Bane has also been diagnosed with a grade 3 ankle sprain. Going to be reevaluated in 6 weeks. So there you go. There's your 2 star players down on the injury ward. Adding to the list is Steven Adams out for the remainder of the season. Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, they're also out for the foreseeable future. With that, it's curtains. It is absolutely curtains at the moment. There is no possible way. They currently sit 13th at 15 and 26. They're 5 games back there of the Lakers in 10th for that last play-in spot. It's all but over. Their season is finished. It's kind of the year. So I've, again, if you're a long-time listener of the show, the Grizzlies have been a team that I've probably discredited a little bit over the course of the last couple of years. I kind of thought they were not as good as what they actually were. This was the one year that it's kind of panned out as I thought it might. But they are a fun team. So certainly hope that they can get everyone fit and healthy next season, and have no doubt once again they'll be a playoff force. My goodness, this hay fever is driving me wild. Let's push ahead to number 4. Do we sometimes forget how good Luka is? Now, he's averaging nearly 34 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and has been a huge driving force as to why the Mavs currently sit at 24 and 18. He's just one of those players that makes everything look so easy, and he truly controls the game. He plays at the pace he wants to. He never looks rushed. He never looks out of position. He never looks uncomposed. He is, I think, He's certainly one of the best players in the league. That is a given. But do we sometimes take him for granted? The numbers that he posts, what he actually does in a game by game basis, is it almost being undervalued? Now, maybe it's not because he's on a big market team. Maybe it's because the Mavs aren't quite a top tier championship level team yet. Who knows? But I firmly believe we need to start actually appreciating how great he is. Now, he's a perennial MVP candidate. He hasn't quite reached that level yet as to winning it. At the moment, you'd probably be looking at Embiid as the front runner. So he's in and around the mix. The Mavs, as I said, 24 and 18, currently sixth within the West. If they were to possibly bump up into a top 3, top 4 position, who knows? You might start to gain a little bit more traction in that regard. But even without that, I think, just as NBA fans, we've got to appreciate the talent we have in the league. LeBron's another one. He's certainly, he's not getting any younger, 39 at the moment. We need to appreciate these players whilst they're in the league. And I know we've probably got another decade of Luka coming up, but that shouldn't take away from actually appreciating what he's doing now. I love watching him. Now, I'm a Lakers fan, but love basketball in general, love watching any and all games, but certainly love watching the Mavs and the way he goes about business. So that's just a not a warning, but maybe just a little acknowledgement that we need to appreciate what he's doing. Okay, I'll push ahead to number 5. The Utah Jazz have found their tune. Now, despite losing the other day to the rampant Thunder, the Jazz had previously before that won their last 6 and were 9-1 in their last 10. With that, they currently sit 9th in the Western Conference with a 22-21 record, which is phenomenal given where many people, and for that matter, myself included, had them. Fontecchio, Dunn, Colin Sexton coming into the starting lineup. They found a formula that brings out the best in each player, I believe. Clarkson is undeniably best suited to that bench role, playing more minutes generally, more than Dunn and Sexton anyway. But with him coming off that bench, being that offensive spark plug that we've come to know and love over the course of the last couple of seasons, it brings out the best in him. And likewise, utilising John Collins as a small ball 5 has paid dividends so far. Loving what he's doing. His intensity, not only defensively, but offensively as well, has increased second to none this year. And they're just a super fun team. Now, as a Lakers fan, I'm certainly hoping that this starts to drop off soon, but I'm right on board with this team. As I said, 9th at the moment, currently 9 games back at first, only 2.5 games back there for an actual playing spot behind the Mavs. Will this continue? Remains to be seen, but certainly loving what they're doing at the moment. And I feel like every year we get a team that kind of surpasses everyone's expectations. This year it feels like it's probably the Magic in the East and the Jazz in the West at the moment. But fair play to them. They've got an absolute multitude of draft assets. They've got some talented players there. Lauri Markkanen included, who I didn't even mention. Player who's gaining quite a lot of trade talk at the moment. But they're just in a really healthy position, I think. So very fair play to the Utah Jazz there. Moving ahead to number 6. The Cleveland Cavaliers continue to cook. Now, after blowing out the Bucks by 40 points during the week, safe to say the Cavs are rolling. And might I just add, they're doing it all whilst being without Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. They currently sit 4th in the East with a 24-15 record, riding a 6-game win streak. They're certainly the form team of the competition at the moment. Donovan Mitchell at the helm and Jared Allen playing some of the best, I think arguably the best basketball of his career at the moment. The Cavs aren't a team to take lightly. And in terms of the actual hierarchy within the league and within the East in particular, they probably don't quite get the credit they deserve. They're only 3 games back a second at the moment. They're the Milwaukee Bucks, playing a great brand of basketball. As I said, hopefully get Mobley and Garland back soon, in a really, really good position to make a genuine push, I think. This is the best, it is certainly the best Cavs team that's been around since LeBron's time. And I think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. So keep an eye out for the Cavs. Pushing ahead to number 7. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a legitimate MVP threat. Now, with the Thunder rolling in the West, currently second at 28-13, we need to start talking about Shea as an MVP front runner. As I said just a little bit earlier, probably you'd have Joel Embiid maybe as a front runner at the moment. But Shea's averaging 31 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, a league-leading 2.5 steals, and 1 block a game. He's doing it whilst going 55% from the field and 89% from the line. He is just playing out of his absolute skin at the moment. Now, if the Thunder can continue to keep pace with where they're at the moment, or even for that matter, jag the number 1 seed, they're only 2 games back of Minnesota at the moment. There'll be a lot of chat about him winning this award in his age 25 season. I tell you what, I give him every opportunity. I give him every opportunity at the moment. He's certainly, there's always a little bit of voters fatigue with the MVP award as well. We saw it with Nikola Jokic. We've seen it with Giannis in the past. Maybe, just maybe. I know he's only won the 1 award, Embiid, but maybe the voters have maybe get a little bit sick of him, seeing him in the top 2, the top 3 over the last couple of years. That could be a real opportunity for Shea to get there and clinch it. So, very, very exciting stuff happening there in Oklahoma at the moment. 28-13, as I said, currently second in the West, 2 games back of Minnesota there. And what I love about this team is they are so competent at the moment. But I tell you what, the next 5 to 10 years is going to be so, so scary. Tell you what, I really hope you can't hear my dog barking, but she's about to cop it. My goodness, what a little pest. It's always the way. Hasn't said squeak until I hit record, and then he goes absolutely bananas. Gotta love that. Guys, I had one more little question I want to pose to you guys. Now, even whilst the show's been in hiatus over that festive period, had a lot of fun and engaging conversations with all you guys out there from across all the socials and loving it. Loving it. So I'm going to throw out a question this week. At the moment, who would you take to build your franchise around? Would you take Luka Doncic or Shea? Really tough question. It's been doing the rounds around social media at the moment. I'm going to take Luka at the moment, but it's not by much. It is a really, you could almost flip a coin at the moment. And I know a lot of people have been saying Shea in this regard. I'm going to say Luka just, but I would love to hear from you guys out there during the week. Who would you be taking to start a franchise or build your franchise around at the moment? The Mavs star, Luka Doncic, or the Thunder's young gun he's an MVP contender. He's a legitimate MVP contender. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander there. Guys, let me know. Hit up the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. There you have it, guys. First episode back. Absolutely delighted to be in the hot seat once again. Certainly looking forward to finding that rhythm and routine again over the next week or so. The socials are buzzing as always, so keep coming in that regard. The plan for the next week or two is going to be doing an East and a Western Conference evaluation at the halfway point of the season. Most teams have played that 41 games, some a little less, some a little bit more. But certainly looking forward to just assessing the lay of the land at the halfway point here and giving my thoughts on all 30 teams across the course of the next 2 weeks. So certainly looking forward to doing that one. Guys, to ensure you don't miss out on those, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen or watch the show. Whether you're watching here on YouTube at the minute, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment. Likewise, if you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to subscribe so as to never miss another episode. Guys, till next week, I'm delighted to be back. Can't wait to get back and do it once again. Can't wait to speak to you all next week. Till then, have a great week. Take care.